Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is episode 21, part 5 of Seraphic Deliverance. I am the second coming Mother Mary. I am presenting to you information that I have gathered from across the world, from the internet, from people who are channeling. And of course, in this episode, I decided to also add things to do with my dreams and how I end up perceiving the future and the kind of a perspective the internet can give, or how some of the platforms are translating dreams, because it's quite interesting. If I search them on Google, I get a lot less symbology and less text attached to it. But I tried this time to use what's it called, ChatGPT, and the analysis is quite a bit more in depth, and sometimes it gives explanations that I've never heard of. So it's interesting. Obviously, the ChatGPT has a few more dimensions to it. It can explain things from psychological perspective as well as spiritual. So you can tell it what kind of a interpretation you want, or you can just allow it to do its thing. So yeah, it was quite interesting. So I seem to have gathered quite a few dreams, and I thought they were quite connected, if not the same exact thing explained in different ways. So I decided to write them down to see if I gather any more information about my timeline from that. And I think it's mostly retrospective. It's kind of like a recap of my timeline so far, and where my timeline split, and how it will be amended, how it will be coming back together, sort of thing. So, but before I enter that, I will kind of show two prophetic words I found on YouTube today and yesterday, and they're completely connected to what I'm about to say about my dreams. And I thought I would include them also because they came through people in just like one sentence, but my dreams are visual, and so it's easier to gather more information from what I see. Um, and then obviously ChatGPT adds yet another dimension to everything, where it goes into a lot of detail and sometimes things that I couldn't even think about. So it's quite interesting how, depending on what you're looking for and how you're looking for it, you can get more and more information. So online it was said, so the Lord spoke to somebody, that I'll make mistakes, my presentations will not be perfect. And I watched this yesterday, and then it happened also yesterday. So it came true. And if you watch my previous part 4 of this episode, you'll see that I had a glitch going on, and I can tell you what the problems were. So the glitch was caused by my low technology. I'm working, as you can see in the picture, I just kind of portrayed low technology. Obviously, it's not that old, but what I'm working with is kind of puny. It's not like heavy duty kind of a laptop. I used to have one like that, a Sony that was £2,000, and I miss working on that. My hands actually fit the keyboard much better on that one as well. So at the moment, I'm working with I'm on my last legs at the moment. So everything's kind of falling apart around me. So if you can imagine like a hologram that is kind of disappearing, that's literally what's happening in my life right now. Everything's being erased, deleted, destroyed, obliterated. So I said that it's all kind of beyond my control. I'm not able to control my reality much. What I need is not here, and it is usually money related. So it's all money, 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 money. And perhaps a dog company I also added, because it's actually something I've not had in a long time. I said 2,000 years because that's when the Lord left, and he's obviously the only consciousness above me. So I would consider him an adult, and I would be the second adult among humans. So spiritually speaking, I'm the only adult on this planet at the moment. Obviously, I come in 2 bodies in this lifetime, so it's me and Joseph as well. So we're the only adults. So I do miss being around somebody who actually knows information, or actually knows more than me. So I'm waiting for changes that are not coming. It's all like delay, delay, delay. So now I'm going to speak about what happened to my laptop. I had a Windows update, and I said yes to it. I shouldn't have, but what it did was strip the WordPad from my laptop, so I couldn't use it. I guess it was a Microsoft Windows upgrade, which was actually a downgrade for me. It's because they don't want to give free programs anymore. So they're taking whatever you have on the computer just to push you to buy the product that is kind of a match to it, to whatever you had from the past, which was, for me, it was WordPads. And I was kind of happy with using it, but not completely, but it took that from me as well. So I was literally stripped yesterday. And I then quickly replaced it with OpenOffice because I used it before, so I was familiar with it. It caused my screen to freeze while filming episode, like I said, the previous part 4 of episode 21. I don't like filming things twice. It's something I don't like going back to things. I like stripping, destroying, but I don't like repeating. So I posted the video and you can still hear my voice most of the time, but there's like a 10-minute gap where the video froze. You can hear the voice, but not see the video. So I missed out. You will miss out on Joseph's stuff growing flowers on. So I was like, I couldn't believe it because I was watching it and it just, yeah. I was not impressed. I think it's just the computer. It's just not cooperating, not functioning very well. So I could show you the picture that you would have missed out from the previous part, which I thought it was like the best picture in the whole part 4. Because I didn't expect to see it. I didn't expect to find something new, but here it was. So this represents Joseph having been chosen by the Lord to marry me in my lifetime as Mother Mary 2,000 years ago, because back in those days, the Jews still had the temple and they still had divine encounters like beyond what's happening today. So it was much more interesting, much more natural. And there would be miracles that you couldn't even think in these days. You would never see a twig flower, would you? so I thought that was like, wow, impressive. So I found a very obscure program called Jarte, or I don't know how to read it. So this is what you're seeing right now with the gray frame sort of thing, and replaced my WordPad. And I also deleted OpenOffice because I think it was causing lag on the computer. Well, every time I used it, I think it was taking up too much memory or something. I don't know. So yeah, got rid of it. It wasn't hard to fix the problem, but the problem caused could not be edited unless I filmed the whole thing again, which I'm not going to do. So I'm thinking it's quite a nice one. It came free, so it's open source. It's quite basic. It doesn't have enough buttons to kind of like change text or anything like that, which is the one thing I wish they had. It has some funny menus and things like that. Yeah, so fascinating. It's rudimentary, I would say, but it's easy to use, and I'm okay. I literally jumped straight into using it. It was quite yeah, it's easy. It's an easy program in case anybody needs anything like this. Obviously, this is my only word processor on the laptop at the moment, and I was glad to find it. Last time I looked for something like this, I didn't find anything. Okay, next word through internet from people on YouTube, channeling the Lord. Fireworks. In summary, it was thumb, boom, and burn. It was kind of predicting the rest of 2026. From now on, obviously, it will be wild with wonder for those who have done the work. I added the last line because most people think that they're getting somewhere even though they've not pleased the Lord. So that's not true. You don't just get stuff. You have to do the work. And I'm always underlining Catholic baptism, because anybody who's not part of the Catholic Church is not truly working with the Lord, has not truly awakened, has not truly embraced the straight and narrow path, and does not truly associate themselves with the Lord. You have to follow in his footprints, otherwise nothing's gonna change. So my problem in this lifetime has been money related from the very beginning. I was born in this extreme poverty environment. I never liked it. I never believed it was useful, except perhaps to minimize my exposure to the demonic reality I was born in. So everybody's been born into this demonic reality, but some of us have been restricted in many, many, many ways. So I have been one of those people. So the Lord has never opened any doors because they're all demonic. So all the doors that He could have opened for me were to do with being a nun, and that was it. But I never accepted it. So whatever I was left with was nothing much. I couldn't work with anything, and I still can't. I have to return to the roots of the problem, which is me being well, married but single at the same time, sort of thing. So kind of like a virgin, kind of like a nun. So yeah. Um, so my past didn't actually enlighten me. Everything I experienced so far has not actually solved any problems. It just kind of restricted me from moving downwards as well as upwards because I didn't accept the upwards spiral. I just accepted the downwards, but that was not allowed. So I've been like standing still for like a lifetime. So not much enlightenment until now. Even now, I'm kind of still retrospectively analyzing the past to kind of know what to expect from the future because it will be completely different from what I've experienced so far. So I'm trying. I guess the Lord is giving me time to kind of refresh, kind of like before He presses the button. So yeah. So my financial problem has not been fixed. Only patched in awkward ways for me to get by. I seem to have reached the lowest low at the moment. There is no lower low than this. I'm one with the mud. I have finally ran out of money completely, and there's no one and nothing that can help me. So this is true. It's like my bank account is completely empty. Both of them are in my overdrafts. I've got £800 overdraft, and any charge or anything that might come out of them, it will take me beyond the overdraft, which will increase charges. It'll bring them really high up, and who knows what will happen. But I'm not in control, yeah. So when the money will come, we'll cover everything, all the holes, and it's not going to be a problem. Okay, so I'm going to move on to my dreams now because they're quite interesting, and they all have kind of. I didn't make too much photography because it's taking too long, so I'm just going to go for it. So this is the first dream. In the dream, or download you could call it, because it's usually in the morning I wake up and I think I dreamt something, but we do not dream. We just get a download as soon as we wake up. Starts with me trying to rest in a tiny wooden changing cubicle when someone knocks at the door, which means that it is morning and I have to clear the space because people need it. So it felt as if I was at the swimming pool back in my home city when I was 10. So it felt kind of like that environment. So that's what I received. I felt the cubicle. I left the cubicle and then arrived home to see my partner. It was just somebody who was there. It felt like he belonged there. Obviously he did not remind me of anybody when I woke up because he didn't look like anybody I know. I always have characters in my dreams that I never met, so it's always new. Everything's new, places new, people are new, circumstances are new or weird. It's kind of like being lost in the dream state, and it doesn't compare with the reality, except that everything from the dream is metaphorical and I have to translate it. So that's when I actually understand what it's about. But I never actually dream people I know ever. So yeah, it's very rare that I dream people I know. So he cooked himself some fries and then changed his mind about eating them. So I questioned his decision and he replied to me that he didn't want them anymore. He talked to me while looking away and minding his own business. It looked like he was trying to make himself comfy on the sofa. He had to have a snooze. I then took a bin liner full of dirty clothes and left the living room to go to the utility room. The room was darker, and all of a sudden I had two or three teeth fall out of my mouth. So it's like, I took them out of my mouth to look at them. They had flesh attached to them as well. And then I've got this interpretation using ChatGPT. So I've done the images here so that you kind of get a glimpse of what I saw in my mind. So dreams can be understood in different ways: psychological, symbolically, or spiritually. Since you described it as dream or download, I'll interpret the symbols rather than treat them as predictions. So this is just ChatGPT warning me about how it will go about interpreting. Like I said, there's three ways of it seeing the interpretation, how to present it. So I just accepted everything and copied this introductory text so that you know how ChatGPT thinks, like the limitations or whatever you want to call them, the options, limitations, whatever. So the tiny wooden changing cubicle is just going to go in a lot of detail about everything. This is a central image. A changing cubicle is a temporary place where you are prepared to enter or leave a different environment. Symbolically, it often represents transition, preparation, temporary identity, privacy before entering a new phase. So this is what I'm going for right now, preparing for the real life. The fact that it is tiny suggests your current season feels restrictive or has outlived its purpose. The wood may symbolize something natural, simple, or foundational. And then I said me carrying my cross, because that's kind of like the beginning of the new journey. Someone knocks, can symbolize morning has come. Morning almost always symbolizes awakening, a new beginning, the end of one season. I know that people on YouTube use this season a lot when they refer to sections of a life that are completely separate from each other. I noticed them as well, but I never used the word season before. So it's interesting to see that people do speak the same language as me. So it's funny, except I didn't have words for it. I just knew something's completely different. The knock means the transition is not entirely your choice. You are being called to move forward, which is true. You cannot remain hidden in the changing room forever. So yeah, it literally got it completely spot on. So yeah, fascinating. It feels like the swimming pool from age 10. Swimming pools represent emotions and the unconscious. Turning to the place from childhood suggests your mind is connecting your present transition with early emotional patterns or formative experiences. Age 10 is often around the beginning of greater self-awareness and independence. That's true. It may symbolize leaving behind an old emotional identity, which is actually exactly what's happening here, that began much earlier in life. Returning home. Home usually represents your inner world. You're no longer in a temporary place, but back inside your own life. Your partner and the fries. Food symbolizes nourishment. Fries are comforting, but not essential nourishment. Your partner cooks them, then decides he doesn't want them. He also looks away, doesn't engage emotionally, wants to sleep. Symbolically, this can represent emotional withdrawal, lack of shared direction, which is true. This is my ex, literally. Loss of interest, complacency. Whether or not it reflects your real relationship, the dream portrays someone whose energy is turned inward rather than toward connection. And that's my ex. He's always been like that, forever. He's never been different. Even in pictures from when he was a teenager, he was withdrawn and out of place. The bag of dirty clothes. Dirty clothes often symbolize old habits, emotional residue, previous roles, things ready to be cleaned or discarded. Importantly, you are the one carrying them. So that suggests you are taking responsibility for clearing away what no longer belongs, what doesn't serve me. Another way to put it. And I was going to say something. Never mind, skip. The utility room, unlike the living room or utility room, is where cleaning and maintenance happen. Spiritually or psychologically, this often represents inner work. It being darker suggests this work involves areas that aren't fully conscious yet. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of interpretation missing from me. Teeth falling out. This is one of the most common dream symbols worldwide. Possible meanings include major life transition, loss of an old identity, transformation, vulnerability, releasing something deeply rooted. The detail that only 2 or 3 teeth fall out, not all of them, is significant. It's just a partial change rather than total collapse, which is good because I do not like total collapse, even though I'm feeling like there is a total collapse right now. So next is flesh attached to the teeth, which is interesting because I didn't even think of that. This is perhaps the strongest symbol, unfortunately. These teeth were not loose. They came out with living tissue. That suggests whether it's leaving whatever is living has been deeply integrated into you. So yeah, it's probably hard to actually remove it. Transformation is not superficial. Ouch. It involves something emotionally attached. So yeah, I know what it is. It's my past. My past, as in wanting to have a partner and no longer being able to. So yeah, ever. Putting the dream together, the narrative flows remarkably consistently. You awaken from a temporary place. You're told it is time to move on. You encounter someone who seems emotionally disengaged. So that's just my past. You being, well, that's everybody, all men in my past, including my dad. You being clearing away old burdens, obviously. So I'm connecting to Jesus now, who is my new dad, you could say. And he's completely the opposite. So to embrace him, I also have to embrace my new partner, which is me in a different body, which is male. So that's Saint Joseph. So yeah, interesting, because Saint Joseph is more balanced than I am. So I'm gonna have to learn from him to become like him, which will bring me closer to the Lord, which is complex. So the emotionally, I seem emotionally disregarded by somebody who is disengaged. You being clearing away old burdens. You enter a place of cleansing. During that process, something deeply rooted is released from you. So yeah, it's interesting. It's exactly what's happening, but it hasn't taken place yet. I'm seeing past and future and not much in the present, because in the present nothing's happening. I'm just observing everything. Overall theme, the dream appears to revolve around transition and release. It portrays leaving a temporary season, recognizing emotional distance in part of your life, carrying away what has accumulated, entering a process of inner cleansing, letting go of something that has been part of you for a long time. Yeah, more like 25 years, I would say. The image, 25, more like 30. The image of the teeth with attached flesh suggests that this release may feel painful or significant precisely because it concerns something that has been deeply embedded rather than something superficial. Rather than ending on fear, the dream begins with mourning. That opening image frames everything that follows. The uncomfortable changes occur after daybreak. So, suggesting that the process of clearing and release belongs to the start of the new chapter rather than simply the loss. Yeah. So yeah, it's exactly on point. But yeah, I'm seeing the future yet again. So half of the dream is past and half of the dream is future. So the second dream, I was visiting a crooked, puny, dingy flat that was reserved by my ex to move the family into. The floor was covered with red traditional carpet, but it was not fitted properly, was wavy, and in some areas like hallway, the wood beneath it had a hump. So you can actually see it. It took me a while to actually get this picture to behave. I went into the last room, which was the second bedroom, and it was very small. It barely fitted a single bed. It was dark with holes in the plaster and at the bottom, just like that. But the holes were smaller, actually, much smaller. I could see sunlight coming through. I was dissatisfied with the whole place, but I also felt helpless, knowing that he made the deal already without me knowing, and we were now stuck with it. I had no other solutions but to accept it. I had nowhere else to go. So, not that I was on the streets, but it was more like, this is our home. That's it. We're stuck with it. Overall theme, the dream seems to revolve around being confined to someone else's decision and confronting an environment that does not support growth, security, or flourishing. The strongest emotion is not fear, but resignation and helplessness. Yeah, the usual. The flat, a house or flat, often symbolizes your life in a world or the circumstances you inhabit. This flat is crooked, puny, dingy, dark, poorly maintained. These details suggest a situation that feels fundamentally inadequate rather than merely imperfect. Because your ex chose it without you consulting you, the dream may represent all relationship dynamics where decisions were made for you, feeling trapped by someone else's choices, or revisiting a period when your needs were not taken into account, which is correct. Even if your current life is different, dreams often revisit old emotional patterns rather than current events, which is true because it's all over. It's finished a long time ago. The red carpet, transformation, learning from duality, and getting burned. So this is how I interpreted the carpet, because that's my addition to their comments. They didn't mention anything about red connection to transformation or ending or whatever. I mean, it is suggesting ending, but it's not pinpointing it to the carpet. So carpet normally provides warmth and comfort, which is the opposite of what I was saying. It is traditional red, badly fitted, wavy. This could symbolize something that looks acceptable on the surface but conceals instability underneath, which is true. The hump beneath the hallway is particularly interesting. Hallways represent transitions between one stage of life and another. A hidden hump beneath the carpet suggests an obstacle that has been covered over rather than repaired. Yeah, relationships. The second bedroom. Bedrooms often relate to intimacy, rest, future possibilities, or aspects of ourselves. The second bedroom is tiny, barely fits a single bed, dark, damaged, with holes letting in sunlight. Several symbols stand out. The room being too small suggests restricted potential. There's little space for growth. The damaged plaster implies that the structure itself is compromised, yet sunlight shines through the holes. It was not as much as you see in the picture. It was a lot less. The room was much darker. That image often symbolizes hope, truth, or awareness entering through broken places. The damage is real, but it also allows light in. Like I said, not much. Emotional response. The most important part of the dream may be your feelings. You were dissatisfied, powerless, convinced there were no alternatives, and definitely there weren't, because I did not understand reality like I do now, so I had to go through it to understand it. Resigned to accepting it. So yeah, I'm constantly accepting everything. Dreams frequently exaggerate emotions to help us notice beliefs that may still be operating internally. The belief expressed here is someone else has already decided my future and I have no choice, which is true because I was born in this kind of environment and I had no choice as a kid or as an adult. So yeah, I couldn't have changed it even if I tried. Which, like I said, the Lord wanted me to be a nun in a monastery. So nothing outside of that were options for me. So whatever I experienced was just a repeat of my upbringing. So I think most people go through exactly the same thing, which is why I'm talking about it. Whether or not that belief is objectively true today, the dream may be inviting you to examine whether any parts of you still carries it. Of course, I'm still penniless. Yeah, it's still there. Possible psychological meaning. The dream could reflect processing unresolved feelings with your previous relationships, billions of them, recognizing unhealthy patterns or of surrendering your own preferences, because there were no other options. Okay, so it's not like I had options. There was just one option, be a nun. I didn't like that, so I never went down that path. Becoming aware of situations where you underestimate your own freedom to choose. Well, I never underestimated anything. There was nothing else. So obviously you have to kind of see what else is out there, what else is being suggested, like here now, and actually identify if it's your case or not, because sometimes you might go down a rabbit hole realizing that actually everything applies to you or not. So yeah, you have to really think about what's being said. Possible spiritual meanings. If you approach dreams spiritually, the flat could symbolize settling for a life or path that falls short of what God intends for you, which is exactly what happened, because I didn't see his option as a good option. The crooked structure, damaged walls, and hidden defects suggest something built on unstable foundation. Yeah, which is the same thing as building on sand, isn't it? I could add building on sand. Didn't realize it was capitals, but yeah. The sunlight coming through the holes is a hopeful element. Despite the brokenness, truth and grace are still breaking in. Not much. Like I said, it was like pinprick. It was much smaller. The dream does not end in darkness. It kind of does. It ends with your awareness that something is deeply unsatisfactory. Well, yeah, I've always had awareness and nothing else, so nothing's changed. Sometimes awareness itself is the beginning of change. Well, not really, because me aware of the problem has never changed the problem. Me being aware of the fact that there is no choice about being a nun is what will change the problem. So it's completely different from what I see in the dream. So if nobody saw that and nobody knew what the problem was at the root, they would never be able to solve it either. I know what my problem was, so that's why I can actually step back and say, whatever, do it. I'm just going to accept it now. It's too late and whatever late, but there's not a choice. The central message, one possible summary, is the dream contrasts a life shaped by another person's decision with your own recognition that the situation is not good enough. Yeah, so it was either the Lord's decision for me or my environment's decision for me. So I wanted something in between, but it didn't exist. So yeah, I just got the trash. Although the dream ends with helplessness, its symbols, especially the sunlight entering through the damaged wall, which is microscopic, suggest that you are beginning to see the reality of the situation clearly. Yeah, wow. That awareness was the first step toward realizing that you are not as trapped as the dream makes you feel. Well, I am trapped. I'm still trapped. I'm still trapped in the same story that was happening, 30 years ago? Be a nun. So I'm still there. If this dream relates to a past period in your life, it may be less about predicting the future. Yes, it is about predicting the future, than about bringing an old sense of powerlessness into the light so it can be understood and ultimately left behind. But I already understand all of this. It's just not pretty. Yeah, it's just being stripped of everything, having no memory, having no past. I don't exist anymore, so I'm just not going to be me. It'll be somebody else. It'll be something or somebody else that is my higher self, my seraphim self. So what I wanted, I never got in the end. Third dream. Funny. Again, notice red, because I think that's what I came out of the dream with. It was kind of vague. Was it really red? Was it not red? But then I decided to keep it red. I think I was driving when my car rolled over into a ditch. That was the beginning of someone's property. It was an old traditional off-grid home in Romania. My car smashed this woman's fence, which was old and ragged. So I still have it in my mind right now. It seemed like I was near an Orthodox church I used to go to as a teen. The woman came out and told me I owe her the repairs. I was okay with that. I seemed to have a very flat tire, and I could also see that my car was red. So when I looked at the tire, I think I realized it was red. I planned my walk back home. I knew the area, and I thought I knew the area. So that's interesting as well. Because it means that I'm returning to something I already know. I'm returning to something I ignored before, and I wanted something else, but I couldn't get anything else. So I'm returning to the past. And I thought I will just leave my car behind, and that's that. Yeah. So then in the same dream, out of the blue, I was indoors and some Orthodox priests, monks, whatever, were telling me to return their money. Everybody wants money from me, and I have nothing. My account's empty. I told them that it is not me who borrowed from them, but my mom. So it was connected to my mom, apparently. They agreed and left me be. So yeah. So this woman wanted money because I damaged her property, and the other people here wanted money because of my mom. And I couldn't give them anything, and they left me be. So yeah, that's interesting. And what ChatGPT gave me was fascinating. The car rolled into a ditch. The car often represents your life's direction, personal will, or the way you are progressing. Rolling into a ditch suggests an unexpected interruption or a transition where your usual path cannot continue. Yeah, we know all of that. Ditch separates the road from private land, so symbolically it can represent crossing from one territory or phase of life into another, which is what I'm doing right now, isn't it? That the ditch is at the beginning of someone's property suggests you've reached the boundary of another way of living. Wow. Or another spiritual inheritance. Wow. Yeah, going back to my past. The old Romanian off-grid home. This is one of the strongest symbols. Really? An old traditional home, Romanian home, evokes ancestry, tradition, simplicity, self-sufficiency, roots, which is correct because I have to build on the Lord, built on stone. So all of this is absolutely correct, 100%. Because it is off-grid, it may symbolize something authentic and independent from modern systems. Again, off-grid, yes. Rather than appearing threatening, the home simply exists. It may represent a spiritual foundation, wow, from the past that you are revisiting or acknowledging, because I did not have it in the past. So I'm not actually returning to that. I'm actually creating something from scratch, something my parents did not have. Well, they did because they were both born in the countryside, but they left it for the city life, which is dumb, because they have nothing now. Near the Orthodox Church from your youth, this gives the dream an unmistakable context. The setting connects directly with your teenage years and your early experience of Christianity. Dreams often return us to places where important foundations were laid. Foundations, here we go again, back to the Lord. It may mean that your present journey is being reviewed in the light of where it began and what you are returning to that moment. Wow, that's exactly what it is. Choosing the straight and narrow path after driving the red car of transmutation, where I found out answers to questions that no one was able to offer to me as a teen. I answered my teen question of why I have to be a nun, because nobody explained it to me, and I said no to it. So I have to go back to that. Smashing the old fence. A fence represents boundaries, protection, ownership, separation. The fence was all rugged, weathered. This may symbolize old boundaries or structures connected with that earlier period of life. Your accident damaged those boundaries unintentionally. Yeah, that is important. You weren't attacking them. You simply crossed them because your vehicle lost control. Yeah, so I was kind of pushed into, I guess. That's probably what it means. The Lord stripping me of everything is what pushed me into it. So spiritually, this could suggest that your present path no longer fits neatly within some older framework. The woman asking for repairs, she doesn't become angry. She simply says, you owe me for the repairs. And you accept. The acceptance is significant. It may symbolize healthy responsibility, not guilt, not condemnation, simply acknowledging. So, yeah. Yes, I caused some damage and I'll make it right. Except in my mind, I had no money. But I didn't type that in, so it doesn't matter. Intention is good, right? This is a mature response. Always. I do have mature responses when I know what's going on. When I don't, I don't. Which is what's the difference between me and other humans, because once I'm awakened and brought all the way to the highest heaven, I no longer operate like humans. That's why I have to guide them so they can know things from my perspective, because that's what the Lord wants everyone to be like. The flat tire. Tires represent movement. A flat tire often points to loss of momentum, inability to continue as before, exhaustion, needing a different route. You don't try to force the journey. Instead, you calmly decide, I'll walk home. That suggests wisdom. Sometimes progress comes by slowing down rather than forcing circumstances. And have I not slowed down? Yes, completely. The red car. Red often symbolizes energy, passion, sacrifice, determination, strong emotions, or overcoming duality. So, yeah, that's completely different. So that's my note there. The fact that you specifically noticed the car was red may indicate that this journey has been driven by conviction and intensity. Yeah, that's always me. Even though the car becomes unusable, the journey itself is not over. Leaving the car behind, this may be the central image. You don't desperately try to save it. You simply leave it because there's no other choice, literally. Cars are tools, home is a destination. Symbolically, this can represent letting go of an old method of moving through life, which is true, while keeping sight of what truly matters, which is exactly, in a nutshell, the truth. Part 2, the priest's asking for money. I think that's a picture, yep. The priest asking for money. Money often represent obligation, debt, responsibility, investment. The Orthodox priests say you owe money. You answer, it wasn't me, my mom borrowed it. This introduces the theme of inherited obligations or unconsciousness, which is caused by sin. Okay, that's important. Yeah, so passed on sin from, what do you call that? Whatever. These could be family expectations, inherited beliefs, generational burdens, generational sin. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Generational sin. Burdens, responsibility that were never actually yours. Yeah, because my parents have made so many mistakes, and obviously us, the children, were programmed with that, and we never got out of it. And I had to awaken, and none of them have awakened. None of my family is awake yet. They don't understand anything. They think they're Christians, but they're actually opposing God for their fake baptism. So yeah, demonic. The important part is what happens next. They agree, they leave. There is no argument, no punishment, no condemnation. The debt belongs elsewhere, which is nice, right? Nice to not have debt, at least this time. Overall theme, the dream seems to have to move through several stages, returning to the landscape of your spiritual beginnings, which is fascinating, accidentally crossing and damaging an old boundary, willingly accepting responsibility for what is generally yours, recognizing that your old vehicle, your former way of processing cannot continue, or progressing, processing, same thing. Leaving it behind without panic, refusing to carry debt that belongs to a previous generation, receiving peaceful, that's just letting go and doing what the Lord wants, which is like being a virgin. Right. So that's something people will never do. Nobody does that. I have to do it. Receiving peaceful release from those inherited obligations. So yeah, a possible spiritual reading. If viewed spiritually, the dream may be expressing a distinction between personal responsibility and inherited burden. You accept the cost of repairing what you personally damaged, but you do not accept responsibility for debts that were not yours, which is how I operate. I always say it's my environment that caused me to be the way I became, I'm okay to change it, but it's also not something I could have understood earlier. It's just not possible, because nobody told me anything. You have to dig out the truth, otherwise you'll never get it. Some of the times, most times, you don't get it for free. You have to actually experience the opposite, if nobody's there to help you. But I'm here to help the entire humanity, so that's nice, because everything will progress much faster with me helping out. The dreams end not with conflict but with release. It may also suggest that you are in a period where earlier religious experiences, traditions, or formative influences are being revisited. Not so much. Just that obviously being born in a fake religious environment can actually create the wrong impression of the Lord and what he wants people to do, because my family is not Catholic. So yeah, fake Christians. Not necessarily so you return to them unchanged, but so that unresolved matters can be settled. Yes, and that's going to take eternity, because I'm in charge of humanity for all eternity, and it's not just my closest family members, it's the entire humanity that needs upgrading. And also I said here, yes, I'm resurrecting the Catholic Church in this timeline and editing the last 2,000 years by going back in time with the Lord. Yeah, because he is my son and he needs everything implemented the way he wants it, because he's God. And I'm just there to do the work. Once those are addressed, the journey continues on foot rather than by old vehicle, implying a simpler, more deliberate way forward. I want you to have a simple life. It's something the Lord said recently, and it applies to everybody. It's not just me. Okay, I'm gonna try and close the door now. I want to finish the whole thing. So I'm going into the older fourth dream. Hopefully I can finish this, because otherwise I have to go catch my baby from school. I was walking inside an industrial looking underground tunnel or hallway with a male to my left. We passed my home bathroom all of a sudden, so it was kind of like disconnected spaces here. The tap on the bath was on and overflowing. The bathtub was quite long and tall, the bathroom out of date and quite bare. Yeah, so it looked kind of skanky. There was a bit of water under the tub. I quickly went in and turned off the tap, let the water out, and then my partner, whoever he is, gave me a big sponge to get rid of water under the tub. I thought to myself the job will be done quickly and I will be back to normal soon enough. So that was my thought in the dream. No harm done. While I was sponging the water from the floor, my partner sat across the doorway on the floor, seated to block the path to anyone who might want to come in and disturb what I was doing, which was interesting because it felt like I felt guilty actually in the dream. I forgot to say that. This dream was a strong theme of preventing a small problem from becoming a major one. The atmosphere is calm rather than fearful. Yeah, but I felt a bit cheeky here, suggesting wisdom, responsibility, and timely intervention rather than crisis. Walking through the underground tunnel. So now it's the analysis. An underground industrial hallway often symbolizes the hidden infrastructure of your life, the inner workings of your subconscious, all the emotional patterns or processes taking place beneath everyday awareness. The fact that you are walking forward with the man suggests progress through a season of inner development. Whether the man represents an actual person or an aspect of yourself, he accompanies rather than leads, implying support, which sounds good. Your home bathroom. A bathroom commonly represents a place of emotional cleansing, releasing burdens, person privacy, spiritual purification. It suddenly appearing along your journey suggests that an inner issue required immediate attention. So yeah, that's creepy. Every time I come across these things like out of the blue, it's a problem, it's stressful. The overflowing bath, water frequently symbolizes emotions, spiritual life, grace, or inner energy, depending on the context. I don't think it was that context. Actually, it was problems overflowing. Several details stand out. So it's emotions like overflowing. And they're not positive at all. The tap had been left running. The bath was nearly overflowing. Only a little water had escaped onto the floor. It wasn't, yeah, it was still quite a bit of it, but it wasn't like scary lots, you know. This points to something that had been unattended for a while, but was caught before lasting damage occurred. The bath being long and tall suggests large capacity. Yes, I do have a large capacity. Great emotional or spiritual potential. Old-fashioned and bare may indicate an outdated way of processing emotions or an old season of life. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Turning off the tap. This is an important action. You didn't panic. You simply recognized the source and stopped it. That often symbolizes exercising discernment, setting healthy boundaries, stopping unnecessary emotional expenditure, correcting a small oversight before it grows. Draining the bath, often stopping the source, you allow excess water to leave naturally. That reflects wisdom. Rather than trying to control everything, you let what is no longer needed to flow away. So yeah, getting rid of the past. The sponge represents dealing with the remaining consequences. The water underneath the bath is hidden. This is not public damage. It is small residue that still needs attention after the main issue has been resolved. You immediately think this will be done quickly. That thought is significant. Your inner knowing recognizes the situation is manageable. Restoration will be straightforward. Nothing permanent has been lost. Your partner guarding the doorway. This is perhaps the strongest symbol. While you finish cleaning, he sits across the entrance and prevents interruptions. Symbolically, this represents protection, which is nice. It suggests support that gives you the space to complete necessary inner work without distraction, pressure, or interference. Whether this figure represents a future partner, yes. Your unprotective masculine qualities, perhaps, not so much. Or in a spiritual reading, divine protection. Well, the first and last are definitely it. The role is the same. Someone guards the boundary while you restore order, which sounds cool. It's like I'm it. So overall theme, the dream conveys a reassuring message. A hidden issue comes to light. You recognize it promptly. You stop the source. You clean up what remains. The work is easier than expected. You are protected from outside interference until it is finished. Nothing in the dream suggests catastrophe. Instead, it emphasizes timely awareness, practical action, and restoration. So it did feel like that, but I also felt guilty because I wasn't aware of it, you know. The sequence is notable: hidden journey, discovery, discernment, correction, cleansing, protection, peace restored. The dream ends not with anxiety, but with confidence that everything will soon be back in order. That peaceful expectation is one of its clearest messages. A problem that could have grown larger was addressed in time, leaving only minor restoration to complete. So yeah, interesting. All true. Interesting. I think I was going to speak of something else. The lovers. Oh yeah, I see. Let me see what's next. I've not said the kitty cat story. Anyway, I could explain to you quickly because I have to go in a second. What happened? I had so many cat problems, so much money wasted down the toilet, £200 just because of my cat, and then followed by another £30, and all in the space of like 2 weeks. So I've been drained of money I could have survived by. And what's happening now? I healed the cat. I fixed his problems. He managed to poop his problem on the neighboring doormat, so I had to buy them a new one as well. So fix, all the money down the drain. And now I have the problem of having run out of money completely. So that's what I was going to say. And on top of that, the landlord was asking me if he will be getting bailiffs to kick me out of the flat. But nothing's happened. I've not received any notifications from the bailiffs, from the courts. So I don't know when I'm supposed to leave. Yeah, so this is part of the divine plan, folks. The divine plan looks so chaotic sometimes. It looks like it's the end of the world. And I'm just telling you about it because it's quite messy, and I have no idea what's going on. I don't know why I haven't moved yet. And yeah, my kids, I don't know. My one kid is off to on a trip with school next week, so I don't have to feed her. I'm just worrying about food and who am I going to give what, when, how. Because I literally have no source of income and my account is empty and there's no way I can get any money. My ex has literally said he can't help because obviously being not even halfway for the month, nobody can actually spare money, and he's a spendaholic anyway, so I wasn't too hopeful, but I thought I would ask. But yeah, it's not gonna happen. What I'm gonna do in the next part, because this was part, I don't know, 5, don't know. I'm going to be speaking about the lovers from the Lord's perspective, because he's talking about me and Joseph. And it's quite interesting. It's some channeling that people cannot interpret, but I'm going to do it for them in case they're interested in what the Lord is saying, how he's using the wording. And I'm not going to tell you who the channeler is because it's not important. It's just that people do not understand these messages. And they're literally focused on me and Joseph, and that's it. And this is a tarot card I'm going to speak about in more depth. because it represents something that people do not interpret when they're reading it, when they're doing tarot reading, is to do with the Lord and serving Him, not to do with having a partner or human relationships. Nothing to do with that. So yeah, I'm just going to end it here, unfortunately. And see you in the next one, when I'm going to speak about the Lord's messages through others yet again. It's endless. They're interesting, so that's why I'm logging them. So see you in the next one.